Our top story, the United States says it will continue to provide assistance to the insurgents in Syria.
President Obama is committed to be helpful in non-lethal aid in order to help the Syrians to be able to manage that. For the last several months, we have steadily increased our non-lethal assistance to more than $127 million, and that aid, an extremely productive afternoon.
Kerry was speaking at the end of the so-called Friends of Syria conference in Turkey. He says the Obama administration has decided to provide the foreign-backed Syrian opposition with what he calls a new package of non-lethal aid. The package, which is valued at $123 million, includes body armor, night vision goggles, and other military equipment which could be used in combat. Just hours ahead of the so-called Friends of Syria conference, Kerry met with the leader of the foreign-backed Syrian National Coalition, Muaz al-Khatib. At the same time, protesters demonstrated outside, slamming the Turkish government, the United States, and NATO for supporting the insurgents in Syria.
Kahrolsun ABD işbirliği.
Author and Middle East expert Kevin Baird joins us now on the line from Madison for more on that story. Mr. Baird, welcome to the program. First of all, how do you perceive John Kerry's pledge of more assistance to the insurgents in Syria?
Well, it's bad news because it means that the U.S. policy is going to continue the way it's been going, which is escalating the situation rather than trying to reach a compromise agreement that would end the violence. It's a pretty clear situation here where we have two sides in Syria, with one of them being heavily backed, the insurgents, who are actually mostly foreign fighters or mujahideen or terrorists, whatever you want to call them. These people are being backed by the West. They're getting more and more arms. The purpose of this, apparently, is just to keep the fighting going. And I do think that the U.S. policy seems to still be captive to the known plan of the State of Israel, which wants to break Syria up into pieces, like other countries, the way Iraq has been broken to pieces by the U.S. invasion. Sudan's been broken apart. Libya's been broken apart. They're trying to do the same thing to Syria. I'm hoping that at some point the U.S. leaders will come to their senses and realize that there could be all kinds of blowback from the destabilization of Syria, that arming these people is not a good idea, but it seems that they just keep digging their hole deeper and deeper.
And also, I'd like to get your thoughts on the nature of this assistance package, which the U.S. insists on calling it non-lethal aid.
Right. They like to say they're giving non-lethal aid to forces that are actually committing terrorism, but we know that the U.S. has actually been training and arming some of these people for many, many months. So escalating non-lethal aid does not mean that they're somehow providing humanitarian assistance to feed people who are going to make peace. On the contrary, it means that they are increasing their support, including financial support, to people who are basically militant fighters or terrorists, if you will, who are blowing up mosques in Syria, who are targeting religious leaders, not just political leaders, and committing what by all rights ought to be called terrorism. The so-called non-lethal aid is having extremely lethal consequences.
Thank you very much, author and Middle East expert Mr. Kevin Baird, joining us from Madison, Wisconsin.